Hi, and welcome back. This is Chapter 5, Waves and Wavelengths. There are 29 questions in this chapter. Number 1. In Canada, the 15-meter amateur band corresponds in frequency to 21.00 to 21.450. Number 2. In Canada, the 160-meter amateur band corresponds in frequency to 1.8 to 2.0 megahertz. Number 3. Which of the following answers is not correct? Based on the following width required, the following modes may be transmitted on these frequencies: fast scan television, or ATV, on 14.23 megahertz. Number 4. In Canada, the 40-meter amateur band corresponds in frequency to 7.0 to 7.3 megahertz. Number 5. In Canada, the 20-meter amateur band corresponds in frequency to 14.000 to 14.350 megahertz. Number 6. In Canada, the 75 or 80-meter amateur band corresponds in frequency to 3.5 to 4.0 megahertz. Number 7. In Canada, the 10-meter amateur band corresponds to 28.00 to 29.700 megahertz. Number 8. Which of the following answers is not correct? Based on the bandwidth required, the following modes may be transmitted on these frequencies: fast scan television, or ATV, on 145 megahertz. Number 9. What is a band plan? A guideline for using different operating modes within an amateur band. Number 10. If a dial marked in megahertz shows a reading of 3.525 megahertz, what would it show if it was marked in kilohertz? 3,525 kilohertz. Number 11. 1 megahertz is equal to 1,000 kilohertz. Number 12. A signal is composed of a fundamental frequency of 2 kilohertz and another of 4 kilohertz. This 4 kilohertz signal is referred to as a harmonic of the 2 kilohertz signal. Number 13. If the frequency of the waveform is 100 hertz, the time for one cycle is 0.01 second. Number 14. What happens to a signal's frequency as its wavelength gets longer? It goes down. Number 15. What does 60 hertz mean? 60 cycles per second. Number 16. What is the name for the distance an AC signal travels during one complete cycle? Wavelength. Number 17. What happens to a signal's wavelength as its frequency increases? It gets shorter. Number 18. Electrical energy at a frequency of 7,125 kilohertz is in what frequency range? Radio. Number 19. Current in an AC circuit goes through a complete cycle in 0.1 second. This means AC has a frequency of 10 hertz. Number 20. What term means the number of times per second that an alternating current flows back and forth? Frequency. Number 21. The wavelength for a frequency of 25 megahertz is 12 meters, or 39.4 feet. Number 22. The velocity of propagation of radio frequency energy in free space is 300,000 kilometers per second. Number 23. The speed of a radio wave is the same as the speed of light. Number 24. The wavelength corresponding to a frequency of 2 megahertz is 150 meters, or 492 feet. Number 25. Which of these amateur bands may be heavily occupied by license-exempt devices? 902 to 928 megahertz. Number 26. What is frequency coordination on VHF and UHF bands? A process that seeks to carefully assign frequencies so as to minimize interference with neighboring repeaters. Number 27. Which of the following statements is not correct? A person may operate radio apparatus licensed in the amateur service on aeronautical, marine, and land mobile frequencies. Number 28. Radio amateur operations are not protected from interference caused by another service operating in which of the following bands? 902 to 928 megahertz. Number 29. An amateur radio stations may communicate only with other amateur stations.